A very warm good morning to everyone. Mr. Vinod Bandal sir. My name is Adesh Pandey along with my co-host Anshuman, and today our group is organizing a webinar on DevSecOps and automation. DevSecOps is the practice of integrating security testing at every stage of software development process. It includes tools and processes that encourage collaboration between developers, security specialists, and operation teams to build software that is both efficient and secure. DevSecOps brings cultural transformation that makes security a shared responsibility for everyone who is building the software. Now, I would like to introduce everyone with today's speaker. He is Mr. Vinod Bansal, an advocate of IT and digital transformation with cutting edge modern engineering technologies and processes such as Agile, DevSecOps, Cloud, and Automation. He has had a very progressive and inspiring career. In 2013, he started as a DevOps and technical lead at Wipro Technologies. Then, in 2021, he became an associate manager working on DevSecOps and cloud automation at Accenture based in Australia. Currently, he is an AUSPAC Practice Manager working on DevSecOps and automation at QBE Insurance, also based in Australia. Today, he will be talking about the topic in depth, so please listen to him. That's all from me. Thank you. Mr. Vinod Bansal, sir, would you please begin?
Thanks, Adesh. Good morning, everyone. I hope it's good morning for you guys. I know it's too early, 9 a.m. Saturday. Most of the people want to sleep, but it's good to see like more than 35 plus you guys joined, and this means you are keen to learn. But that's fine. I won't take it a boring one. So it should be a two-way communications. It should be an interactive session in case if you have any query and you want to raise any question, please unmute yourself and ask directly, or you can put into the chat box and Adesh can direct me because I'm on the one screen, so I might not see who is raising hand for the question, so Adesh can help me with that. So
Yes, sir.
let me share my screen. We will first go through a few things like what DevSecOps is, how DevSecOps is going to help organizations, why organizations are so keen to adopt these technologies, right? We will take it a practical approach. We will not go into a deep theory. We will not go into into a mode where we just learning it for the just to learn it, but we will go into an approach where how we can implement it. If you join an organizations, a multinational company, how you can benefit that multinational company to adopt these practices, adopt these technologies, right? So let's start. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so today's session is about DevSecOps and automations. So I don't know if how many of you know about the DevSecOps, how many of you know about the automation. I guess everyone has heard about these terminologies, right? Everybody knows what DevOps is, what automation is, and recently we have started using term DevSecOps. So before we go into the topic, today's agenda would be what DevSecOps is and what's the difference between DevOps and DevSecOps. Also, what is Agile and DevSecOps, how they complement each other. The next one is what DevSecOps actually offers for the organizations, why organizations are looking for DevSecOps. The fifth topic we would cover is DevSecOps tooling and workflow, right? So I saw at the beginning there was a slide where the DevSecOps workflow was presented, and that was a good slide, right? So that gives an overview of multiple tools involved in DevSecOps, right? So we will cover few of those tools. Mostly, I would take Zero DevOps at the moment. After that, we would see how you can implement DevSecOps in your software development lifecycle for an organization. So if you are part of any organizations, how you can start that journey. So that we would cover in the sixth topic. And seventh is you can ask any query. So I will give you around 5 to 10 minutes to raise your hands and ask any doubt that you have. Okay, let's start with what DevSecOps is. First of all, DevSecOps is combination of three words. You can understand is Dev, Sec, and Ops. Dev means developer community, while security, Sec is The security community, and ops is the operations community. They are not development, security, and operations. It's a community because, as Adesh already mentioned, it's a collaboration. It's not only the tools and technology. So first of all, we need to demystify what DevSecOps is. People have lot many myths about DevSecOps. Okay, so few people thinks it's a tool, few people think it's a technology, right? And few people thinks it's just the practice, it's just the philosophy. So it's not, it's combination of everything. It's not just a tool, it's just not a technology. It's the best practices that that organizations should adopt to speed up their delivery process. So in the DevSecOps model, you would see the Dev, Ops, and Security, where these three communities come together. Now, as I mentioned, this DevSecOps is a combination of development, security, and operations community where they collaborate each other, where they remove the barriers between themselves. So in previous world, what happened? Developers would be working in silos. They would be working in their own world, developing the software, and then we'll hand it over to the testing team and then to the operations teams, right? So in that process there was a lot of transition and lot of communication gap. Because of that, you will find any defects or any issues in the software at later cycle of the software development, right? Not at the early stage. And because of that, you would take more and more time to resolve those defects, to go back and ask developers to fix it, right? So that process was a lengthy process, and in that process you were taking around 3 to 6 months or maybe even 1 year to deliver a single software. And that was not efficient. Like in this fast paced world, every organization wants to increase the releases of those software. So if you look at the Facebook, you look at the Tesla, you look at Netflix, they are able to launch or release their features every day, every week. How they are doing this? So they adopted the right combination of tools and technologies with best practices to achieve that speed, right? So as I mentioned here in the slide, you can see DevSecOps is not a tool, it's not a technology, it's not a framework, it's set of practices. When we say practices, it's like the behavior. So how developer community, security community, and the operations community come together, work together, and then they reduce the overall timelines of the SDLC. That's DevSecOps. So when we come to the DevSecOps, security is also one of the critical element here, because in traditional world, security was not considered in the SDLC. So when I say it's not considered, it's not every stage of the SDLC. It was considered at the later stage when you have already released your software into the non-production environment or into the production. Then security people would be running their security scans. They will run the penetration testing and then find the defects. That defects might be, but by the times it is too late, right? You have already introduced some security vulnerabilities into the system. So what is the approach we have taken with the DevSecOps is security becomes a critical part of the software development life cycle from the start. So developers start thinking about the security when they are developing their code. When they are writing their code, they will scan that code for the security, and they will find the vulnerabilities. They will resolve then and there, so that you will minimize the chance of uh, slippage of those vulnerabilities into the higher environments. So when I say environments, it's like your pre-prod environments, your production environments, and even your testing environments. That would definitely help you to improve the software quality, right? So that's what DevSecOps focus on. Any questions so far on what DevSecOps is, what DevSecOps mean? Okay, so let's move to the next. Uh, I'm a bit fast, so let me know if you want me to slow down, because we have a lot of things to cover. So I would try to, you know, uh, try to take you through all these slides that I have created, but still I can pause wherever you want me to focus on. Now coming to the core principles of DevSecOps. So when we talk about DevSecOps, the core principles of DevSecOps are collaborations. So all these teams that I was talking about, developer community, testing community, security, and the operations, they should collaborate frequently. They should work together, not like in a silo where they don't know what developer is doing, what security is doing, and what operations is doing. So it's like they promote the one team culture, and work together at the same platform. That's the core principle of DevSecOps. Coming to the second is automation. So wherever is possible, you automate the things. You cannot achieve the speed doing everything manually and repeating the task on daily basis. So we know a lot of things we do on daily basis, like filling up the Excel sheet. Sometimes we are running some unnecessary processes. Sometimes we are just having 5 people instead of 3 people to do the same job, right? So the approach that we should be taking with DevSecOps is wherever is possible in your development life cycles, you automate those processes. You find a way how you can automate it. You you go through a process where you can find where you are wasting most of your time with manual processes, right? So that's the second core principle of DevSecOps. Coming to the third principle is shift left approach. So when I say shift left approach, if you look at the software development life cycle from start till the end, it starts from the development, then you go through the testing, then you go through the operations or handover and the releasing the software into the lower environments, and then to the production, right? So in this cycle, you take the shift left approach for testing, you take the shift left approach for the security. So when I say shift left, this means security and the testing starts from the left, from the developer itself, not from the testing phase, not from the operations phase. So like developer takes the responsibility of the unit testing, takes the responsibility of the security testing for their code. Then when they move to the testing phase, the testing people take the responsibility of the business testing as well. That is user acceptance testing, you might have heard about, right? Similarly, there are multiple type of testing like regression testing, smoke testing, progression testing, functional testing. All those testings starts at early as possible. And then when we go to the operations, it's not like operations are not aware of what's happening at the left side. They also shift left. This means operation teams are also involved during the development phase, so that we will minimize the time of handover. We will minimize the time of the transition. This is how you would be able to achieve the speed that you want to compete the market, right? So this shift left approach is one of the critical principle when you are adopting the DevSecOps. Now moving to the next is customer centric action. So that's a very important one. When we say customer centric actions, what we do normally is we get the requirements from customer. So who is customers? Our business can be customer, our end users can be customer. They give us a requirement that we need to develop a software, and what we do, we got that requirement and we just start working on that requirement. We get so much obsessed with that requirement that we forget that we should be taking the feedback from the customer. Customer has given you feedback in 2021 that I want this software, but he or she might not need that software in 2022. So you need to keep on getting the feedback from the customer. What is customer need at the moment? And you change, you adopt to the customer requirement, right? That's the customer centric actions. You should be taking actions based on what is your customer need at the moment, right? What is the demand of the future, what is the demand of the present, right? Not of the past. Coming to the next is continuous exploration and continuous improvement. These are two important terminologies we use normally in DevSecOps. When we say continuous exploration, that means you are continuously exploring throughout the journey that what can be improved, right? So for example, you have developed some software, and when you have developed the software, you find that no, this software can become better, right? We can introduce more features into that software. So that's exploration. You are exploring continuously in your journey when you are developing the software, or you're testing the software, or you are even maintaining or managing the software or releasing the software, right? So you continuously explore the improvement opportunities in those technologies, in those in your software development, and obviously continuously improve it. It's not a one night journey, guys. It's not like, okay, you will change everything over the night. You need to spend time to improve it. So do not just stick to you will release everything as a single package. Release in small chunks. So if you have 5 features to release, you release first feature, then second feature, then third features, instead of just club everything together and then release it, because it's going to take time. So instead of that, continuously improve the software. You release one feature first and then go for second. So if any one of you are using iOS like Apple phones, you might be seeing that Apple is releasing their software updates and upgrades every month or every quarter, right? That means they are continuously releasing the features, right? And whenever they come up with a big bang, that means like a package of all the features, they release a new phone itself, right? That's how they they release their packages or the features to compete in the market. Now next is continuous success measurement. That's very important. People just start developing things, start testing things, and they will get lost in their software development journey that they don't measure the success. So you need to define the value for every step, that we usually call value stream mapping. So if you are taking any actions in your software development life cycle, you need to understand what is the value of that action, right? What is the success criteria of this action? So for example, if you give me a requirement of developing a a game application, right? And when I'm developing that game applications, I shouldn't be just developing the game application. I should be defining the what it would be my success criteria, right? If how this game application should look like. When will I say that okay, I have achieved what I wanted? When the game applications is having the performance that customer satisfaction we get. So all those success criterias we need to define for every feature that we are developing or every action that we are taking in your software development lifecycle. So these are six core principles that we should be following when we are going through the DevSecOps approach, right? Okay, now in layman terms, so we have talked about a lot of technical stuff. We have talked about a lot of what DevSecOps is. I might have confused you, most of you, right? So let's use the layman terms. How we can understand what DevSecOps is in layman terms. That is, any non-technical person can also understand. So we will go to the traditional world, 10 years or 12 years back, how it was, right? So in 10 or 12 years back, we were having a developer community and we were having a operations community run team that we do, who manages the software once it is in production, and the dev team is who is building the software. They do not have any bridge in between. Developer community will build the software or the package, and they will hand it over to the operations teams to maintain it, right? That creates an unmaintainable craft, which is no one is happy. You cannot maintain these transitions, and then operations teams is blaming to the developer team and development team is blaming to the operations teams if it doesn't work in production. That's why we bring both of them together, which is our DevOps, and everyone is happy because they are working together now. They know what development team is doing, what operations team is. Now coming to the DevOps is is a bridge between DevOps and teams. But now we realize the value of the security as well, that we should introduce security in the DevOps. That's where the security team came in picture. And then when security team came in picture, no one was happy because no one know how to run the security, how to test our software against the security. This is why we brought security, dev, and operations together, which is DevSecOps. So it has many definitions, but if we get down to the bottom of it, it is all about developer operations and security working together instead of living in their siloed world, right? And then they focus on a common goal of releasing the better secure product, right? And with the pace, right? That's the you know definition of DevSecOps that we can take it from here. I guess it makes more sense why we brought these three teams together to create this DevSecOps world, right? So again, it's not tools. Tools are just helping you to bring this culture, but DevSecOps can sustain even without tools and technology. So when I say can sustain, even if you don't have any tools and technology, we did not have these tools and technologies 10 or 15 years back, right? That we have now, but still DevSecOps was there. We were not using the term DevSecOps, but DevSecOps was there. There was a development community, there was a security community, and there was an operations community, but they were not working together. So when they start working together, even without any tools and technologies, that becomes the DevSecOps. That becomes that culture, right? And then bringing the tools and technologies, it helped them to collaborate more. It helped them to achieve the speed, to test it quickly, to uh, to run the security even from the start. This is where we brought the tools and technologies. Is there any question so far in chat box?
If anyone has any doubt, please raise your hand.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yep.
What are the problems we encounter while following this practice?
So when we say while following this practice, you mean while following the DevSecOps practice or while not working or not following the DevSecOps?
Not following the DevSecOps.
Yes, that's a good question. So, okay. So one example I will say, developer is building a code, right? And the operations teams don't know what code they has built. So once that code has been released into the production, which means now the end user is using that software, right? And if something happens to the software and the software is not working after the release, operations teams are responsible to act to fix that issue. But as they were not involved into the development and they don't know how development team has built this software, operations teams mostly struggle to fix that issue immediately. That creates a panic situation, because the more a end user is waiting for the response, the more the end user is not able to access your applications, there would be a customer dissatisfaction, right? You would be losing the customer trust. For example, take an example. uh, we guys are using Airtel, right? Airtel service, and just think your Airtel service goes down, right? You will see, oh, okay, I'm not able to call anyone, I'm not able to message anyone, I'm not able to do WhatsApp. Now what do? Your first action would be you would be calling to the Airtel customer service. They are L1, they are the first support people. You will call them, you will ask them that I'm facing this issue. What they do, they don't fix the issue. They try to find what is the concern, what is the issue, and then they reach out to the concern team. The concern team is the operations teams who really take responsibility to fix that issue. But just think, if they are not able to resolve that issue for 2 days, would you be happy with Airtel? No. What you would say? No, I will change it to the Vodafone, or I will change it to Geo. This is where you would lose the customer trust, you will lose the customer, and you will lose the money. Airtel will lose money there because they have lost one customer, right? So that these problems were there in the traditional world where operation teams were not involved with the development. Now coming to the security, you might be seeing after these COVID time, there's a lot of hacking happening, right? A lot of organizations are paying ransom to hackers because they have breached their security and got their customer data. And security is really important in this 21st century. When we say security is important, it's like your data, your privacy is too important, that if anybody have the data, have your personal data, they can rule the world. That this is one of the saying we have, right? So the coming to that topic is like, we were not considering security from the development side. This means there were multiple events where we we slipped vulnerabilities into the production environment, and where hackers in this world were able to access your applications, were able to breach your security layers, and were able to get your data. And then they were able to ask the organizations that if they want them to not to disclose their customer data, if they want their applications to be up and running, they will have to pay the ransom. This is where the security comes picture. If you start creating the secured software itself, you consider all the security layers from the start, you would be able to avoid those incidents, those events. Apart from this, the common one everybody knows is speed, right? First, you develop the software, you give it to testing team will test it, find the defects, will give it back to the development team, then they will fix the defect, then testing again test it to find that the defect has been resolved, then it goes to the release team or the operations team, right? That was the waterfall model that we followed. Then we came to the V model where testing team and the development team started working together, but that was also not giving us the speed that organization wanted. Then we came into the DevOps world. DevOps is the infinity loop where development in and operations teams and the testing teams work together, and they are trying to speed up the process by eliminating these unnecessary handover. So dev team does not need to hand over to the testing team does not need to hand over to the operations teams. They are working as a single team. You have a developer in the same team, operations in the same team, tester in the same team, security in the same teams. They know what we are working on, they work in parallel. This is how you reduce the overall timeline, and you are able to release your software even weekly and even daily basis instead of going through a whole process of 3 months. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Okay, let's move to the next is DevOps and DevSecOps. You might have heard these terminologies. Even now, recently, there is one more term coming, DevSec Risk Ops. And we might be seeing more terminologies like this in near future, right? So guys, do not get confused with these terminologies. What these terminologies mean is we are trying to, or organizations are trying to emphasize on something. Still, these development, operation, security, testing, risk and governance communities are there. All these communities are there, but when they feel they one of the community is not involved in the SDLC heavily, or they are not collaborating the way that they should be, they bring that down so that they can emphasize on the importance of that community as well. That's how these terms started appearing. So now coming to the first term, DevOps. DevOps, everybody knows, bringing development and operations team together. While DevOps has always included the security was always included in DevOps, it was never emphasized, right? It was never a integral part of your CI/CD, right? When you are developing your continuous integration and continuous deployment pipelines, you always focus on build, test, and release. You never focus that, okay, we should be also including the security testing. So organizations realized it that, okay, when we are bringing development community and the operations community together, we left security behind, and that's why they came up with this term DevSecOps, which means now security team also becomes part of the same team, and they start performing the security testing from the start. And in our CI/CD, we also include few more stages to run the security scans by automation. That's how DevSecOps bring into picture, right? So DevSecOps is like the organizations can trust the software which is being released for the end user, because currently they have a fear that the software which we are, or the feature which we are releasing to the end user, that might be a vulnerable feature, and any hacker can breach that feature. And when I say breach, they can get the control on that feature. They can stop the features for the end user to run. They can also steal the customer data. So these to avoid these kind of incidents, organizations wants that software should be secured enough. The software go through proper security testing to identify any security vulnerability at early stage. So that's the difference between DevOps and DevSecOps. DevOps is still just focused on the development and operations, but security is there. Security was never given the right importance there. But in the DevSecOps world, security is also become integral part of it, right? Again, it is about culture. where all of these teams collaborate to simplify the processes. They work together, they understand, okay, in operations, we are wasting times in this area, security, we are wasting time in this area, how we can utilize right tools and technologies, how we can work together to simplify the overall process and then create a frictionless environment. When I say frictionless environment, this is means nobody is blaming to each other. Everybody takes the ownership that, okay, we are responsible for the end goal. We are responsible for the end product. Not only the development community, not only the operations community, and not for the security. So if there is any security threat, if there is any security issue, development team is also responsible, testing team is also responsible, operations team is also responsible, not only the security team. Make sense? Okay, let's move next because I'm keeping eye on the time as well. I guess 1 hour is not that enough to cover this big topic. Now, I want to touch base on Agile and DevSecOps. You might have heard these words a lot. What is the difference between Agile and DevSecOps? People think when you talk about DevSecOps, it is replacing Agile, or Agile is different, DevSecOps is different. Actually, it is not. What Agile and DevSecOps is, Agile solves the problem between business and the IT. When we say IT, IT includes the developer community, operations community, security community, testing community, people who are actually developing or releasing the software. And when we talk about the business, I mean people who are running the organizations, who are taking care of the end users, who are getting the more requirements from the end users, who are looking at the market and finding the need of new features and the new products to be released by their organizations for to to support their business. So those business people initially in traditional world, they were living in their siloed. They were write the requirements, they were identify that, okay, they want to get these products developed, these features developed, and then they will hand it over to IT, and IT would be living in their own world developing those softwares, those features, right? They were not enough collaboration between these two. With Agile, we actually created a bridge between business and the IT teams so that they can create a feedback loop. You can continuously get the feedback from business, right? So if you look at this picture at the first side, Agile removes the gap between your customer and your business and between your developers and the testers. This is why it solves the problem that we had between business and the IT. While when we come to the DevOps, it solves the problem between your IT itself, right? Within the IT, between your developer and the testing community and the operations and the IT infrastructure community. So it creates a bridge between developer community and the operation community. So Agile solves the problem at the business and the IT level, while DevSecOps solves the problems at the developer and the operations level. And DevSecOps solves the problem even with the security level. This is the major difference between DevOps and Agile. So do you think Agile and DevSecOps can live without each other? I don't think so. They need to be together. We don't want that if we are just creating or solving the problem between development and the operational community, we leave our business behind. We want these three communities to work together. This is why we need Agile, right? This is why we need DevSecOps. So Agile and DevSecOps go hand in hand. They complete each other actually. They complete the end-to-end picture for an ecosystem, right? It promotes the full stack team culture. When we call about the full stack, there is another myth about full stack. People think full stack is an engineer, a person who knows everything. It cannot be possible. A person cannot know everything about infrastructure, cannot know everything about security, about development, about testing, about business requirements. No, full stack is always a team which is created by combination of right skill set. So in a team, you have a business person who is representing the business. You have a developer, you have a tester, you have a security expert, you have the operations or the IT infrastructure person. You have all the right capabilities within your team to deliver a software, to deliver a package, to deliver a feature, right? That's what a full stack team mean. And that full stack team can be created when Agile and DevSecOps come together, right? And now coming to the next is Agile mostly focus on to the speed because they work with business, they work with IT, and their objective is release the software as soon as possible, right? They want that, okay, a big piece of work, you have 10 features, you divide those big piece of work into the smaller chunks, like smaller pieces of the features or the releases, and you release that features frequently, right? So instead of you work for 3 months and then release the whole software, you can continuously release the one by one each feature. That would obviously, if you release one feature to me now, I would be happy to see at least, oh, okay, one update from iOS, like that update allowing me to use use the touch screen. The next feature might come which is allowing me to use my face recognition. Then the next feature might come which is even more advanced. So releasing these features one by one would help customer to gain the customer satisfaction. Also, it is like you are not waiting for longer period to release your packages, and in meantime other competitors like the other organizations might release that feature, right? So to compete with your competitors, better approach is you release your feature by feature. Make sense? While DevSecOps, apart from the speed, it focus on the quality as well. So it includes the security testing, it includes your code quality and other elements into your software development lifecycle, which means it focuses on speed with quality, not only the speed. This is why I always say Agile and DevSecOps are like married couple. They go hand in hand. They complete each other, right? Any questions so far on Agile and DevSecOps or any other topic that I have covered?
Yeah, I have one question. Like, does it become problematic when so many teams work together in real life? Like, can it hinder the process somehow?
No, it is another way around actually. So it becomes problematic when these so many teams don't work together. As I said, when you don't work together, there would always be a communication gap, right? If I'm developing something, I'm spending 10 days to develop something and will give it to you. Can I give you the proper handover within a single day? If I give you a software and I say like, oh, you go through all the code that I have written, would you be able to understand within a single day or 2 days or 3 days? And would you be confident enough that, okay, you have understood everything? No, that was the problem. That's why we solved the problem with this collaboration. And when we say when these all teams are working together, actually we are not still saying these all teams are working together. What we are saying is we create a team with right skill set. So when you are creating a team, a project manager or a program manager who is responsible for the end delivery, right? To deliver the requirements. What project managers or a program manager would decide to develop this software? I need two developers with, for an example, for Python skill. I need one tester or two testers to test that. I need one infrastructure expert who would build my infrastructure, my environments. Then I need one operations or one run team person who would be able to maintain and manage this software on regular basis. So the project manager and the program managers at the start, they think what they need as a full stack team, and then they bring everyone together. It's not like all these 50 people from infrastructure, hundreds people from development team, 100 people from the operations teams, they all come together like that. No, it's like what you need, you decide before even you start your delivery, and then based on that you identify the requirements, right, and create a full stack team with required people. This is how you are breaking the silo. In previous world, what was there? You were having the development team, They were just focused onto the development. Then you were having a testing team, a big team of testing. Then you were having a big team of operations. You never created a team which is combination of everything. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yep. So it's like in your house itself, you have right people. So you don't have any dependency on your neighbor. Okay. So if you think, if you don't have any skill or something in your house, what do? Like sugar, like that's the best example for India. So if sugar is finished in your house, you go to your neighbor and ask for the sugar. And that was happening in traditional world. So if development team is having any issues with infrastructure, they will raise a ticket, raise an incident, or they will reach out to the infrastructure team to resolve that. Then infrastructure team might take 2 days 3 days to resolve it. Development team would be just keep on waiting for it. They will be sitting idle. Testing team, if they are running the testing and they find a defect, they will give it to the development team, and the testing team will be just waiting for development team to fix the defect and give it to them. And then it might take another 3 days 4 days, right? Because you were having so many handovers, you were having so many communications between various teams, that was increasing the overall timelines for your software development. But when you have all people in your house, like you have all resources, so if you have sugar in your house, or you know how to get the sugar or how to order the sugar online, you have reduced the dependency on someone else. So you would reduce the time. You don't need to go to someone else, right? You know that, oh, my sugar is going to finish. You can just do the online order, right? Or in your house, you have someone who can just go to market and get it instead of going to someone asking for help. I guess I made it clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's move to the next is what DevSecOps offers. Actually, I have already covered what DevSecOps offers for an organizations, right? By But let's quickly cover this slide. What benefits we get with DevSecOps when we, we remove these barriers and create a unified team. We achieve these all with DevSecOps. We increase the productivity of every team because teams are working together. They are not having any dependency or minimal dependency on the external team outside of their team. They are independently can work and release a software, right? That would obviously increase the productivity because now you are not wasting your time just waiting for someone to answer on your email, or just someone to fix something for you. You accelerate time to resolution, right? Because you are now have a person in your team who you can just tap on their shoulder and say, Adesh, can you please solve it quickly? I'm waiting for it. You don't need to reach out to someone, right? uh, Outside of your team. Accelerate delivery time. Obviously when you work together, you would be able to deliver something together, right? Because you have now multiple hands to work on the same goal. Continuous feedback and improvement. Because you have created the team with all the peoples within the team, you create a continuous feedback loop. You can ask, oh, okay, Mehak, Adesh, can you please look at my code? Is it good? I have created these features, can you please look at it? Can you please provide me feedback? So you create that continuous feedback loop. You also create a continuous feedback loop with your business, because now business is not sitting in their own world. Business, it's not like you need to set up a meeting looking at their calendar. Okay, business is only free next week, and I will have a call with them. I will explain them what you have done, and then business will review it and then will give you the feedback. Think how much time it will take. But now you have business representative in your team. You just message him or just message her and just ask, like, can you please provide me a quick feedback on this, right? Cost saving, because DevSecOps brings tools and technologies. You have increased your delivery, you know, your speed for the delivery, and you have removed your manual processes. You don't need so many people in your team just to do the same thing. That would obviously provide a cost saving to the business. Now, with security, we are getting the reliability, we are getting the stability, consistency, right? Because your software has been through the proper security scannings, proper code quality scanning, proper functional regression testing. So that means your software, your product is secured enough, is reliable. That's what we achieve with this. This is what DevSecOps offers for an organization. That's why organizations wants to adopt the DevSecOps culture, wants to adopt these tools and technologies, right? I will not take you through this slide because I have already covered it. It's the same thing. What DevSecOps offer in a high level, with optimal collaborations, we achieve speed, we achieve a full stack team, we remove the siloed, we achieve the speed and reliability with DevSecOps. We also achieve the quality, security, and governance, right? I'll move to the next slide, which is the important one that I want to cover with you guys is the what DevSecOps capability have. uh, we should have when we are creating this DevSecOps culture or creating this DevSecOps solution. So there are multiple tools available in the market, guys. Multiple tools, right? So but we need to first identify what are the capabilities we are planning to target under the DevSecOps. So the first one is the planning and requirements. We want something where everybody can plan together, can gather the requirements, and everybody has access to it. It's not like business analyst or business team is just writing the requirements, but we don't know what are those requirements unless and until they give it to us, right? So we identify a tool where you all can collaborate, IT team, business team, IT operations, and the development, security. Everyone can look at the requirements, can understand the requirements, and can work together. So Jira and Confluence, these are two Atlassian products which actually are really great products for this capability, because everybody can have access to the Jira where you can gather your requirements, you can create your Jira tickets, and your testing team, operations teams, development team, even the business would be able to see those tickets, how you are progressing against your requirements. That can be uh, you know uh, tracked with Jira. Coming to the next is code repository. With DevSecOps, it is very important that you have a centralized or a distributed version control system. When we say version control system, because now you have multiple developers working in a single team, or you have multiple other team members who are specialized in different skills. They are also working there. They are also making changes to the code. So you need to version control the tool. So version control the code. In case if some issue is there, you can go back to the last version of the code. Also, you can track who is making what changes into the code. So that's one of the capability you want, right? You want to store your code somewhere that whoever you want to give access to that code, they can have access in a secured way, right? So you can achieve it using GitHub, you can achieve it using Azure repos. I have just taken few examples in the DevSecOps tools, but these are not limited to this. You have multiple tools in the market for the same capability. We should be focusing on the capability than the tools, because tool you can select any tool which is obviously able to satisfy your requirement against that capability, right? You can have GitLab, GitHub, Azure repos for the code repository. Coming to the orchestration, orchestration is nothing. Orchestration is like how you control all of these tools. There should be a hub. There should be something from where you can trigger all these operations. You can integrate all of these your capabilities. That's the orchestration. So as of now, I have put the example of Azure DevOps, which is a Microsoft product which provides these capabilities. But you can use even Jenkins, TeamCity, Bamboo. There are multiple tools. Even in AWS, we have AWS native tools for the same purpose. Coming to the build and deployment pipelines, I don't need to focus. You guys are already you are software developers and you are learning it. So build and deployment is like developer has written the code, developer would compile and build the package, right? And then deploy that package into the target environment wherever developer or the operation teams wants to deploy that code. So you create this build and deployment with automations as a pipeline, right? That can be created using Jenkins, can be created using Azure pipelines, can be created using the AWS native environment, right? And you also can create the infrastructure in your cloud. You can create that in the AWS, Azure, Google, whatever the cloud your organizations has picked, right? But this is the capability you want to achieve, build and deployment, right? Next one is the artifact repository, where you store your releasable product, right? Releasable feature. So artifact repository is where you can version control your feature itself. You have developed a feature. Now the feature has been through your build phase, it has been through your testing phase, it has been through your security phase. Now you are or you have already deployed that feature into the lower environments, non-production. Now you are just waiting for that feature to be deployed into the production. So that releasable features can go to your artifact repository. That could be your Azure artifacts, that could be your JFrog artifactory, it can be Nexus, any tool you can use. But the capability is you want to version control your artifacts, right? You want to store your artifact or your package somewhere at a centralized location. So this is the capability you need to think when you are creating or you're designing the DevSecOps solution for any organization. Now the next capability is monitoring alerting, which is one of the important one. When you are doing all of these activities, you need to set up something which with which you can monitor how it is performing, and if there is any defect, any issues with your environments or any issues with your pipelines, it can alert you. It can send you an email or an alert on your teams. So you want that capability, right? So you can use multiple tools like Dynatrace, Azure Analytics. There is a AWS Analytics as well. So we have multiple tools available for the same that you can go with. Even the Elk is one of the tools that can be used for monitoring alerting. Now coming to the secret management. Secret management is also very important because you want to secure or you want to store your credentials, your passwords, your environment public keys and the private keys which you use to connect to the different environments in the different systems. You want to secure them in a vault. You want to secure them at locations that nobody can access it without permission. So the secret management is very important when you're creating this end-to-end design. As of now, I have put the example of Azure Key Vaults, but there are other, HashiCorp products as well, which can be used for secret management. Now coming to the testing phase. So developers should always take care of the unit testing. There are multiple unit testing framework depending on the the language or the technology type you are using. If you are using Java, you can use JUnit. If you are using guide wire type of technology, you can use GUnit. If you are using MS .NET, you can use MS Build. So there are multiple unit testing framework that developers can use to test their code and to test their package when they are developing it at the time of development itself. Now we will go to the next important capability that we should consider is the code quality analysis. So code quality analysis is like when you are developing your code, is that code satisfies all the standards from the industry or not, right? So you need to run your code through those code quality scanning that can be achieved using SonarQube. SonarQube is the market leading tool at the moment for code quality analysis. Now I will come to the security because we are talking about DevSecOps, right? So what are the security tools we can use and what are the security testing we should be performing when we are creating this DevSecOps design? So there are multiple security testing, guys. One is the static application security testing, SAST. SAST means static application security testing. When we say static, that means it runs the scans on the static code. So developer has written the code, developer has checked out the code into the repository, and that code is ready to be scanned, right, to for the security vulnerabilities. If developer has not put any passwords or any sequels into the code, anything which a hacker can use to breach your security and to enter into your application. So we have multiple tools that provides us this capability of static application security testing. I have mentioned one of the tool which is good at the moment in the market is Micro Focus 45 SCA. Another tool that another capability that we should be considering is dynamic application security testing. So static application security testing performs the scanning on the code itself. Means it's static, right? While the dynamic application security testing we perform when the product has been deployed in any of the environment, it is up and running. That means you have already launched your application in your lower environment or testing environment, and now once the application is up, you perform this testing, and you can use the tool Micro Focus Web Inspect for this. What it does, it tries to replicate the hacker behavior. So if I'm a hacker, I would try to perform, or I would try to put some passwords or try to inject some SQLs into the applications to breach your application. So what this tool does is it imitate the behavior of a hacker, try to breach the application, and if it does not, it gives you the report that okay, your product is secured. But if it identifies some vulnerabilities, right, it finds some way that the hacker can use to breach your applications, it will give you the report of that, and so that you can take the actions to eliminate those vulnerabilities. Now the another one is the software composition analysis, SCA. Software composition analysis is a tool, is a capability which provides you the list of all the open source libraries you are using in your code. So these days what happens, every developer just do the Google or go to the GitHub and find the code, copy paste the code into the organization's code, right? We mostly do this, right? Because we don't have enough time to write everything, or we don't have enough time to find the solution for everything by ourselves. We go to the global community where people might have encountered the same issue. They might have given the solution as well, they might have even the code as well, or maybe some open libraries. Mostly with Java technologies we use open libraries available in the market, right? And those libraries would provide us some capabilities, right, some features within our code. So we use those open libraries, but we don't know if those open libraries are secured or not. They might be the vulnerable libraries. And even we don't know that are we compliant with the libraries license policy. So this software composition analysis capability provides us that detail, that how many open source libraries we have used in our code or when we are developing the software, and also if there is any compliance issue, if there is any vulnerability in those libraries, right? So one of the tools that we can use for software composition analysis is white source, SCA. It has become manned now, so that's one of the two. Now test automation I don't need to discuss. I guess you might be knowing we have a test automation capability using Selenium, UFT. There are other tools now. Recently organizations are more interested into the scripting less tool, which is like where testers or automation testers don't need to write everything, right? We don't need to develop so many keywords and the features. The tools can provide you that capability itself. So the Tricentis Tosca is a one of the tool that's hot in the market, and mostly people are mostly organizations are using this tool. Now coming to the release and change management. Release and change management is once your package or your code has gone through all the testing, security testing, has gone through build and deployment phase. Now it is ready for the release, ready for the production, right? So how you manage the release, you need to make sure that your feature when you are releasing to the end user, it is as per the organization policy. And even the other teams which are outside of your portfolio, they are aware of what you are releasing on or when you are releasing, so that if there is any dependency on that system, or if somebody else needs to release with you at the same time some other feature, they can coordinate. So we can achieve that using few tools like Plutora. We have Excel release, We have now service now, which can be used for incident management, ticket management, change management, right? So these capabilities we should be considering when we are creating an end-to-end DevSecOps workflow. So at the left side, you can see this is a simplified version of a DevSecOps workflow with all the capabilities and all the tools that I have mentioned. At the right side, you have Jira, from where everything starts. Your business capture the requirements in the Jira, creates the Jira tickets, and assign those requirements, those tickets, to the developer, testers, operations team, security team. Now developer starts working onto those requirements, start developing the code using a repository, any code repository, a version control system. Here I have given the example of Azure Git repos. Now once the code has been developed, developer would push the changes to the one of the branch that we have within the within the repository, and that branch would trigger your pipeline. So here I have given an example of Azure continuous integration or a build pipeline, and what are the stages we should have in this pipeline. So the stages we should have in the CI pipeline: build stage, where we compile the code and build the package. We have the unit testing stage. We have code quality stage. Then we have the software composition analysis, which is like finding that if you have used any open source libraries or not, and if they are compliant or not. Then we perform the software application static application security testing in the next stage using the Fortify tool. And the next one is once everything is done. So this green box is like, if this stage is passed, then only it will move to the next stage. If this stage fails, it will stop the pipeline then and there, right? And this is how you move to the next stage. And the last stage in the CI pipeline will be package is built and the package is published to the your centralized artifactory location. And here I'm giving example of JFrog, right? So once it is done, your continuous integration is done. This is where you frequently merge your code with the developers and run this pipeline. So this is a quick pipeline. This operations can be done within half an hour, within 1 hour, and your package is ready. But if you do all these stages manually, just think, if you do build manually, unit testing manually, code quality, all the security testing, and publishing the package JFrog, it might take even 1 day, 2 day, or 3 day to perform all these operations. This is how you achieve the speed, right? And how you achieve the quality: running these stages, these scans in your pipeline itself. So you have security scans, you have code quality scans, which will provide you the capabilities that okay, your software or your package is secured and it is compliant with the industry standards or not, right? So once you have publish your package into the JFrog Artifactory, you can have a separate deployment pipeline. The deployment pipeline can provide you capability to deploy your package into any of the non-production environment. That could be on the Windows machine, that could be on your Linux machines, or could be on your AIX machines. And once the package or the software has been deployed onto these environments, you automatically trigger the testing stages like the smoke testing, which is like the critical test cases, which gives you assurance that your package has been deployed into the environment and it is up and running. Now once the smoke testing stage is passed, you perform the another security testing, which is the dynamic application security testing that I talked about, right? So that is part of the non-production deployment pipeline, not of the CI. And then you run this regression testing. Regression testing finds any defect into your package, like okay, if you have not broken any existing package or not. Here you can introduce even the manual testing, which is like the functional testing, the progression testing, where testing team comes into picture and perform those testing to make sure that your package is functionally tested and it's all good. Once everything is good, your release manager or your change manager makes a decision when this package should be released. It should be released today or tomorrow based on your organization policy, or based on dependency that you have with other systems. And this is he or she is the decision maker for your deployment pipeline. So your production deployment pipeline is the pipeline which would allow you to deploy your package into the production environment for the end user. And you have the integration with ServiceNow here. ServiceNow is like the validation, right? So before you release any software into the production environment, you need to raise a change request. What is the change request? Change request is you are letting your managers and whoever manages the changes into your organizations to know that you are going to release this package, and this package has been through all of these testing. So that ticket or that request you raise in ServiceNow, and once it is approved in ServiceNow, your pipeline will proceed further to deploy the package as per the timelines. And then you have the monitoring and alerting solutions where you are measuring your success of your deployment. Also, you are measuring how your pipelines are behaving, if there is an issue with your pipelines or if there is any issue with your environment. And if you identify any issues and all in your environments, pipelines, or in your product, you raise another Jira ticket or defect, and then we go through the same cycle. Guys, I know we are over time. Does it help, or any questions so far?
So there is a question from Akansha. She is asking, how will you approach a project that needs to implement DevOps?
So when you say how to approach the project that needs to implement DevOps, it's like your project does not have any DevOps, right? And now you uh, want to include these tools and technology, or want to create a solution for your project, right? Is that the question, Akanksha? Am I right with your
Yes, sir.
question? Okay.
Yes,
So
please.
next slide tell you how you approach your DevOps or DevSecOps in your project. So this is the journey, how you adopt these all tools and technologies and these solutions in your DevSecOps. So maybe this is your state. At the bottom, you have a current state. So your current state might be you are not using any tools and technology at the moment in your project. Or your state is you might be using few tools and technologies, but not all. You might not be using security, you might not be using the unit testing, you might not be using the code quality, or you have not automated your infrastructure automation, which is like creation of the virtual machines in your cloud, and having all your infrastructure like infrastructure system ready, right? So whatever is your current state, you look at the current state with this lens to complete this journey. So you first think about how you manage your source code. You perform these operations to implement the source code management in your project. Then you perform these steps to implement the build pipeline. So build pipeline, we already talked about what are the stages that we should have in the build pipeline, right? So build pipeline, mostly you start with having a simple pipeline only with the build capability using any build tool. So in the previous slide, you can see this build pipeline having this build capability would complete your sim like the minimum or the minimum version of your build pipeline. Okay. Then the next is you create your deployment pipeline. So when you create your deployment pipeline, you take care of all of these steps and create that pipeline, which can give you the capability to deploy the code into any environment. And once you have achieved these all, you have created a minimum viable product, which means at least now developers, testers, and the operation teams are not blocked. They can continue their work, and then you go through a continuous improvement. After that, you start adding the other features like code quality testing and unit testing into the build pipeline. Then you start adding the unit test, security testing into the build and deployment pipelines. Then you start adding the automation testing with using the Tosca in your pipelines. And then you go for the release and change management implementation, and then the infrastructure automation. So these are the steps that you need to take when you are implementing DevSecOps in your project. It might take 2 months, it might take even 1 month. If you have right people with right skills who knows DevOps, who knows how to code, right, they can work in parallel, and you can pick up all these activities in parallel to complete your DevSecOps solution. And this is where you need to reach, that once you complete all of these stages, you reach to a target state where you can say you have this solution in place. Forget about the toolings might change here, but the stages would be same, guys. Any solution you create for any organizations, I'm telling you, any organization, that means if you go to Google, even if you go to Microsoft, or if you reach out to Netflix and you are creating a solution for them, design for them, these are the capabilities you need to think about. Then you can look into the market, what are the tools available which can satisfy these capabilities. You can change tools, it would be same, but the architecture, right, your design is going to be the same, and your steps to reach to that design, to implement that solution in your project, in your program, those would be same. There won't be any change into those steps, but yes, few steps you can shift here and there. When I say shift here and there is, if you have automation testing capability, you can move this automation testing before the code quality. You can move security testing before code quality. You can move code quality to the later part. This shuffling you can do, but you will have to perform these minimum steps to reach to a state where you can say you have an end-to-end DevSecOps solution. Did I answer your question, Akanksha?
Yes, sir.
So guys, this is all for today. I try to make it a bit simpler for you guys, because technical things can be explained at times, but we need to understand the basics, like what is the architecture, what is the workflow we should be using, and what is common across all the organizations. If you go to any organizations in your next phase, you should be knowing that how to create a workflow, right, for your DevSecOps solution. Then the toolings would come into picture, and any tools can be learned within 7 days, because you today whatever the tool you are seeing, tomorrow you would be seeing more tools, and your organization's requirements would always change. 2022 they might be considering Azure DevOps as their DevSecOps solution. Next year they might want to switch to Jenkins or TeamCity or AWS. So you cannot say that if I know this tool, I would be able to survive in the IT industry. You should be tool agnostic, which means you should not be focused on the tool much. You should be focused on the overall solution. You need to think broad how to create the end state solution. And then whatever is the customer requirement, whatever is the organization requirement, you go through the tool, understand the tool, and integrate that tool in your pipeline. Okay. Any other question? Any other query?
If anyone has any doubt, please ask. This is the last chance. Well, sir, I don't think anyone has any doubt. Everyone has understand everything. So wonderful session. Thank you, sir. That was very insightful speech, and I'm very certain there are many lessons we have learned today that can help us in the future. And thank you, Kanta ma'am, for organizing this session and helping us. Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone, my coordinators, my group member, and every audience that was listening this, attending this session. Thank you, everyone. And I will putting a feedback form in the chat group. Everyone requested to please fill the feedback form. This will increase our confidence and help us to improve. Thank you, everyone. Everyone, please switch on your camera. We are going to take a group picture.
I guess I confused people a lot. I'm not seeing any smile. Is it
No,
the
sir, that
case?
was good.
No, sir, it was a really good session.
Is any one of you a part of any organization at the moment, or you are, going through your studies?
We are going through studies, sir. We are not any part of any organization yet.
Okay, so guys, just a quick note. really this is a very good time for for any IT engineer, anyone who is skilled enough as a to call them as a software engineer to to be part of any of the organization, because at the moment IT industry is quite hot in India. Specifically, I'm calling India because after this COVID time, all the organizations are going through short of resources, so short of people, skilled people. And these technologies like DevSecOps automation, robotic process automation, right, infrastructure automation, specifically cloud like Azure and the AWS, and Google as well. And if you go to the AI and machine learning, these all six or seven technologies are really what to say, niche skill at the moment. So when I say niche skill, is like all organizations are struggling to get people for with these skills. And if you have these skills, you can definitely easily get into any of these organizations, whatever organization you target. I know people who started from smaller companies and now are part of Google, Microsoft, are part of Netflix and other companies, right? And I have also been through that. I started my career with Wipro Technologies, which is one of the consultancy in India. It's a big company, and in India it has a good reputation.
Yes, sir.
Like we have only 4 or 5 companies like Wipro, Cognizant, TCS, Accenture. Uh, I guess these are 4 or 5 big companies we have in India. Uh, but from wherever you start doesn't matter. What matters is if you have the right skills, you can reach to anywhere, any company where what you target. Because after 2 years or 3 years of experience, it does not matter which which school or which college you studied from. It does not matter what was your grade in any of the in your schooling, and even in during your graduate and postgraduate. Nobody ask it. Even you don't need to put that in your resume. I'm telling you, what you need to put in your resume is that you have these skills and you have worked on these skills, and you have hands-on experience. So hands-on experience is you know how to actually code, how to develop the solution, and what is important is how to design the solution. Even if I'm hiring people for my organization, I don't hire the people who just code or who develop the solution. What we try to look at it, if they know how to create a big picture, how to create an end-to-end solution, if somebody knows how to integrate with infrastructure or not, how to integrate with your code repository or not, how to include the security or not, right? So you need to understand the workflow. You need to understand whatever you are doing, whatever you are developing, whatever the project you are working on, how it is going to help. If you are a developer, but why you are developing, you need to ask these questions to yourself and then find the answers. I'm developing this code to help with this, and my code is going to integrate with all these systems. So try to go beyond what you are doing. I used to say, go out of the box to think where this box is placed, right? That's one of my suggestion for you in your career. And definitely now this is good time, so good luck to everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks everyone.
The event was good, very, very good. Thank you, sir.
Thanks guys, bye.
Thank you, sir.